Welcome back to the pilot episode of the Sheffield Hopcast. We're at Bar Stewards and it's time for Adam's taste test with a difference.
So it's a bit of a surprise blind beer tasting for everyone, apart from James, myself, and because we know about it. There's no trick or anything. We don't want you to have any expert beery opinions. Simply just need to know which of these two beers you prefer.
Which one would prefer?
Just what you prefer. It's nothing to do with. They're very similar in style. They're very similar in ABV. They look quite indistinguishable.
Yeah. What's that? 4%. Little bit of lemony hop.
He's not an expert.
No. Not bad. A little bit of lemony drizzly sort of thing just on it, but it's the type of beer that would appeal to Sheffield. 4% pale. Sup it in pints.
You can see straight through it.
See straight through it.
There's your second one.
Second one all day long.
Second all day long.
Second one, yeah.
I prefer the aroma of one and the flavour of two.
I think I'd like that, but
if I had to pick one, I'd pick
prefer
two.
number one.
Ooh.
That feels like a wheat beer to me.
Okay.
A bit more wheat in it.
Yeah.
So the kind of like
Which is why
hexagonal glass.
I can't go back to the first one now because I'm a bit overpowered by the second.
Alright, are we gathering?
Yeah, number one for me.
Number one.
I'm going to go number one.
It's going to be a lager or something.
What, two? What? You got one or two?
Two.
Two?
Two.
One?
One.
Oh, wow.
So that's
Two.
Two
So that'll be the score for the Sheffield Derby next Friday.
Oh,
Is it?
So
pale and
So what you've tasted is.
and a lager.
Do you want to have a guess which one's which? So you've tasted.
That's Sheffield United, and then that one's the.
So let's talk to Rich, who's a devout Sheffield Wednesday fan. No, so the first one you drunk is the Thornbridge, the Wednesday.
Oh, is it?
Which is and the second one is. That's right. Isn't it?
Cop, is it Cop number two?
And the second one is Cop Lager, which is a Sheffield United brand lager. So,
I was sold this podcast as being an inclusive
there you go.
event, and for there to be
No
no
Barnsley
Barnsley
bits.
bits
I was just going to say.
no Barnsley would have walked.
Do you know what?
That.
When there's a derby, we'll do it. You sell a lot of this stuff. I mean, what's your thoughts on?
They very often seem to come kind of number one, number two in your top three seller
Yeah,
suites.
that's certainly up to Christmas. A lot of gift buying and all that. So I preferred the pale ale. That just tasted a bit too wheaty for me as a
That's going to bottle the Wednesday pale in it. Beer fridge it works.
So I preferred the pale ale. From a point of view of the game, I would prefer Sheffield United to beat Sheffield Wednesday.
Well, that's because you're about.
Yeah, all people from
A
Barnsley.
boring 0-0 draw, 60 quid a ticket would suit me down.
We didn't want to get too football, but we thought it'd be inclusive. And there we go. It's going to be a draw on Friday.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Would you take a draw?
Would you take a draw?
I think
Laura's just suggested a Chef Hopcast bet on the correct score.
2-2. Well, you know.
but I must say, I have thus far refused to drink the Cop Lager.
And you just forced it on me, James. What are you doing?
Do you know, I would drink if someone gave it to me in a glass. I would drink it. It's the fact that the can is so very Sheffield United branded.
I think
I can't bring myself.
If I'm completely honest, it's not. I don't think it's a strong Thornbridge beer, but I understand probably where they've pitched it. They've just opened a Wednesday tap, which is in the ground. Yeah. They're trying to probably convert. They're starting selling it for the games. You know, we're talking about the.
There's not much to it, really, is there?
It's an easy thing. I'll quite happily drink it. I would probably quite happily drink the Cop Lager as well.
It's a clever beer for the market that is going to drink that beer.
It's not going to put people off.
No, it's not.
And if that's a gateway to people switching from a lager to an
Next
ale.
one might then have a Kai one from them, and then a Jaipur Halsey, and then where you go.
Obviously, Jim at Thornbridge.
All we can say from this is that Rich liked Cop Lager.
Yeah, thanks for that. Yeah. I feel like I'm going to go home now, shower, and really scrub really hard.
I think that's it.
Our next beer comes from Sean, and this is the Dark Neapolitan.
Northern Monk at Leeds, who we had earlier from the Attack on Blue Falcon. I'm not sure whether we mentioned the name of it.
No, I didn't really know what the name was.
I think one of the best beer names for some time, Attack on Blue Falcon.
It's very
the black eye.
It's very like the Black Iris beers.
Yeah, it is.
I would probably. I'd be a bit worried that
someone in the shop today picked that up and we very cleverly had the Rise and Shine from Black Ice next to it, and she picked them both up thinking that they were from the same brewery. But of course I explained. The next beer though, guys, again Northern Monk, not a peel and reveal though this time. Quite famously they did an ice cream pale series, I think about maybe 18 months ago, and then released again last year, proved very, very popular for them. And this is a variant on this, a dark Neapolitan ice cream porter, 6.2%. Lots of rose flavour. We should get quite a bit of chocolate from that as well. I've not had it yet, but there should be that sort of softness to it as well with the ice cream element.
So to anybody who's not really familiar with that as a style, what is it that makes it an ice cream thing? Is it lactose?
Yeah, lactose. Sometimes vanilla is used to soften it as well, but lactose soften, which of course means most of these modern breweries brew vegan beer, but lactose gets in there now and again just to give that sort of creamy feel to things, bit of sweetness to things.
These kind of like sort of dessert beers have become a real thing over the last 12 months.
Yeah,
really
Omnipollo particularly, who Adam mentioned earlier, have got a real skill at that. My favourite beer of all time there, Noah Pecan Mud, is exactly down that theme, 11%, but lots of pecan nuts, lots of chocolate, lots of sweetness from it, and lots of other breweries have gone down the same route.
As you say, like a dessert beer, you just go, you'll have one and it tastes nice, and you're not going to.
It's a nice finish to the evening, Chris. Nice finish to the evening.
I remember the back end of the year before last, I had the Death by Coconut, which you had, which I really like that, and that was that way where, you know, it tastes really nice. It was lovely and sweet. You couldn't have too much of it, but it's nice to just have that.
I think that's an important thing, really, in terms of the beers that we're drinking. James has referenced to having a pint a few times tonight, and the pint is something that we tend to see less and less as a measure of beer. You mentioned then 2/3 and 2/3 and so on. And a lot of these beers are designed to be to be blunt and Sheffield, to be supped, not as a pint, but as a half, generally perhaps maximum. It's very much the drinker's choice, but when you're drinking beers that are 6 and 7%, they can creep up on you quickly.
Having the beer that Chris mentioned, that you like, the Wiper and True milkshakes out. This is not a million miles away from me. I mean, I literally had that last night, and it's just that it's a really, like I said, at the end of the night kind of thing. Nothing else happening. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to turn the TV up and go to bed. Yeah. It's really nice. It's creamy. It's not overly sweet. It's got a nice bitterness to it, and it's got a nice kind of hop kick to it, and it's just really bloody nice.
There's nuttiness.
I mean, there's not a million miles away. I don't know if the last time you had tried that bit, but it's not a million miles away.
It does taste like.
And this is slightly. It says it's naturally hazy, where the other one's really dark.
Yeah.
This looks a bit muddier if you're that bothered about that kind of stuff, but it does actually say that it's naturally hazy on the can, so.
Which is an unusual thing for a porter to declare.
Yeah. Not quite as dark as a typical porter.
I mean, you've tweeted in the last couple of days about, I think there's a new series of dessert beers that have just kind of come out.
Amundsen Brewery from Oslo in Norway are a brewery that are making tracks dramatically quickly, and their beers a lot more accessible now in the UK, and they've done a series of dessert in a can beers, 11.5%. Chocolate marshmallow, pecan and maple pie.
What do you think? Why do you think people are making those like really? Do you think they're trying to get a new market?
I think there's a food relevance to it all, really. They just sound gorgeous.
Yeah.
They sound beautiful, and if you give it the right kind of flavour, then it's going to taste beautiful as well.
Something I'd really like to see is restaurants embracing the beer scene a little bit more. You know, if you go into somewhere for a nice meal, you can pretty much guarantee you'll be offered a wine to suit
match
you.
wine, so it won't
And there's absolutely no reason why the same can't be true of beer.
Correct. Absolutely.
And if you're right, because if you had someone who was knowledgeable, able to come across and say, well, that's nice, you can have a nice beer with this, or you can have this nice chocolatey stout with your, you know,
I mean,
ice cream.
It's still like, I know, parent, you have a meal with parents or, you know, people don't really understand, you know, they'll go, oh, I suppose you can have a beer then. I'm like, well, you're going to have a wine, like where's the, you know, you understand your wine, you're not respecting a different drink, you just think it's just some big pint of yellow fizzy stuff.
They still think you're just trying to get pissed rather than appreciate
to be honest,
flavour and
the problem is like a little bit like you go to a lot of restaurants and you're still struggling in major. I mean, I think ZZ's might do a wild beer now, which is like fresh or something like that. But like, you're still really struggling to get something. You're not spending a lot of money for like whether it's like a Peroni or something like in a bottle for like maybe £4.50. You're thinking, I don't really want that, but I also don't really want to start tackling half a bottle of wine.
I think the problem there is if you're a ZZ, you're going to get that because it's a chain. Whereas if you're going to an independent restaurant, you are going to get completely different.
I still think that they're not really kind of grasping that there is like a sit-down restaurant.
I guess it's a gamble. It might be a gamble. I mean, as we know, these types of beer are not cheap, really. And I guess
with a bottle of wine, though.
Well, I guess so. Yeah.
It's an easy way to get people to pay it, though. I think.
Well, and I think you're not going to get restaurants that want to commit to buying a full keg of something.
Yeah.
But now that you've got so many beers available in bottle and can, that
really
it doesn't matter if it sits in a fridge for a couple of months. Generally.
If you go to somewhere like Craft and Dough, though, I mean, you've got that. That's your place to go.
But they're owned by Milestone, I think. And I would imagine the Milestone, it's wine and.
To be fair to them, like going back even before this kind of boom in crafting, they've always had something there. Whether it's been, they've always had something slightly interesting. Like when I've been a handful of times, maybe not on cask or anything, and probably before keg was really a thing. But you're always kind of looking. There's always something that. Even if you want your taste, maybe it's something that's different to next door or down the street.
I think there's a reverse happening slightly though, Adam, in the sense of you can go to a place that's got smart beer and get restaurant quality food. Rico at Rutland, Brendan at Sentinel, Beer Engine, restaurant quality food with as many beers as you want to match, and you don't have some waiter suggesting anything to you. You can have a bit more of a maverick approach.
It's quite funny actually. Just doing a few notes before in Rutland before I came and worked near there.
Have you made notes tonight?
I made a few notes. I've lost them. I don't know where the pad set next to me. And some woman came in and she asked for a glass of wine. She said, I suppose you're not doing food. And you went, no, we're doing food.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, we've got specials bought.
It's an incredible
and then
specials.
Maybe like 20 minutes later, I turned around and she wrote like a third bag of crisps.
Oh.
And I'm thinking like, they're bloody really good food. Probably they don't shout about it, but it is like it's different. I'm not saying I've eaten there much, but I've seen what they do and what they produce.
It's fantastic.
You know, you can get octopus on like.
I know.
You know what I mean?
I know.
It's a little
sea bass. You can just. It's just phenomenal.
Yeah.
And the tapas that you get at Beer Engine again is just fantastic.
Yeah.
I have to admit that this is easing me back into this type of beer. The reason I'd gone off stouts and the much darker stuff, I had some Evil Twins from your place, which were very, very strong.
You were really cool back in the day.
I felt that they were just being strong for the sake of being strong. What
the beer was?
There were those ones that were the really cool names. There was the
Even More Jesus. Or
no, the one
Big Ass Money Stout.
New York Hotel.
All right,
Christmas in New York Hotel.
That's it,
and
Christmas Eve, innit?
Christmas Eve in New York Hotel, and there was another one really cool. But they were like, one of them was maybe 13%. Something another was like on 10 or 11. And they lost a bit of what they had, I think, from being just too strong.
Being a bit too short.
And I think that just knocked me for six a little bit, or just sort of put me off it. But now they're strong, obviously, because they're 6%, but they haven't lost any of the taste. I think that's at the end of the day, this is what we're looking for. We're not. You don't.
Evil Twin went on to a 16% plus big ass money stout.
Actually, there's a really quick one. Like obviously, we've got things to talk about. What do you consider strong now? Just a quick whip round. What is strong?
Well, that's a
good question.
10 plus.
10 plus.
10 really?
Yeah.
Oh, I'd go.
I suppose it's different. Like, let's say you're out. Let's say you're out in a bar. You're going to have multiple drinks.
I would have no hesitation at 7, 8, and 9%.
At half,
and it would all be halves. I'm not in
school.
Pint school.
Rich, 4.5. 4.8, because that's what.
No, if I'm going to have an 8%, I'm having a pint. I'm not having half. I don't do halves. What's his halves? You can't do lightweight stuff. No, you don't.
I think
if I had a pint of.
I think if I saw like 7 to 8, I'd be quite happy to drink a pint of it, but in 2 halves. I'd have a half and then see how it go. Like,
I think
no problem tackling it.
For a pint, I wouldn't go any more than 6. I don't.
Yeah, I think I'd probably roughly like that. That's the Jaipur limit, which is 5.9.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Jaipur, I guarantee.
That's a good benchmark.
I'll go. I went to the Greystones in a week, and I said to my friend, "Don't let me have any more than 1 Jaipur." 6 Jaipurs later was a bit of a tangle. So it's gets me every time.
It's perhaps interesting. As a young lad, I would go out and to order a half in Mumwell near Barnsley. As a young lad, to order an half, it was the worst thing.
I must admit, I'm a bit of a Yorkshire bloke like that. What's the point of an half?
But now in a lot of the pubs, to order a pint now seems quite uncouth. Not uncouth
well, I think,
in terms of.
There's 2 ways of saying it. I think there is a strength limitation where things are getting stronger. There's also that people want to try more things.
Yeah.
So it's like, do you want to go out and drink 5 pints? It's the same thing, or do you want to have 10 halves of different things? I think that gives you a little bit of leeway. Yeah. Maybe you will kind of go, well, I'll chuck in maybe something like we were talking about Berliner Weiss earlier, something that's like 3.5% maybe. Then that gives you a bit of leeway to go a bit stronger somewhere else. By you, Laura,
I think sorry, go ahead. I was just going to say, I think it's the presentation of it as well. If you have what you would remember ordering a half and it was effectively a tumbler, now you're getting you're getting a nice glass and it's being presented well to you. It's not quite the same.
I've pretty much always drank halves anyway, but for the reason of wanting to try more things. But I think as well, beer doesn't always suit being served in a pint. No. One thing that really opened my eyes when I was over in Colorado, there's none of this, you're a woman, so you get a half, and this beer comes in this fancy glass, and you get this great big pint of 4% pale. It was very much, this is the beer that we have, this is the glass it comes in, you get a third of it, and nobody questioned it. That was just kind of the culture there, was this is how it was a lot of brewery taps, we've made this beer, we want you to drink it in this way, and that's how you're going to have it. And I really liked that, and it felt a lot more inclusive over there, and I think in the UK now it is getting a lot better, and there is that kind of element of choice there, and thirds becoming more widely available, and being able to have flights where you get to try more different things. It's definitely becoming more open, and
there's been a bit of a macho thing in the UK, hasn't there, about we drink in pints, and in a similar way, like I spent quite a bit of my time in Germany last year, particularly in Hamburg and in Berlin, and they're kind of like a third, half, a pint. They don't exist. You get it in kind of like 100 ml, 200 ml, or whatever. I mean, if you're going for your standard German beer, you can have it in a Stein or various other kind of measurements, and it just feels very normal there to order it in the smallest quantity, because you want to try everything they've got at the bar, and it's kind of it's the done thing there, which I think is probably what made me mention the beer engine earlier as kind of a real key thing that they've started doing, which is like, it's all right to go there and order a third of a pint. You wouldn't go in a Wetherspoons pub and order a third of a pint, and there's still, it feels like it's still the exception to the rule, isn't it, that ordering a third or even ordering a half can be kind of frowned upon in a lot of places. So kind of we're kind of at the start of that kind of revolution in this country, and that's going to be.
I think we're well on with it in the right cities, in the right bars and pubs. We're well on with it. if there's anything extreme, 3 bags of crisps, referring back to Adam. Now that is outrageous.
Yorkshire crisps?
I think you would. Might be mini cheddars. I don't want to kind of go into this now, but maybe something for a future podcast. Something that I've seen on Twitter this week is about about females in craft beer and stuff. And it's almost like the flip side, not the flip side, but how women who are serving beer, how they're treated, and how they're not basically men not respecting their opinions and things, and which is complete utter shite really. And like we'd all be very interested to see if anybody's out there wants to have an opinion on that or wants to kind of start a conversation about that. That's something we'd love to probably talk about in a future podcast.
Yeah, it's
I'm not going to start.
It's disgusting that there are still blokes out there that haven't got a clue.
Well, you know,
it's disgusting.
It's probably a whole podcast in itself, but I think it's
We're
something
political already.
No, it's not political. It's something that's been talked about this week.
Disgusting.
So how long we managed? It's about an hour before we dropped the first episode. Well done, Sean.
I wasn't expecting it to be you.
James swore earlier. I've just been saving it.
Anyway,
all right. For now, what I want to do is I want to take you back to a pretty cold and snowy Sunday morning a couple of weeks back. The next beer that we're going to taste, actually, the next beers that we taste come from Lost Industry, which is where myself and Adam found ourselves a couple of weeks back. Kind of, it's an industrial estate, kind of hidden away in Hillsborough. So we met with Jimmy and Nate, who are brothers. They are the guys that run Lost Industry. We found out about their seasonal foraged beer, the stuff they've got planned for this year, their barrel aging programme, and a couple of other beers that sound pretty good. So have a listen. This is what happened when Adam and James met Jimmy and Nate. Well, this is the Sheffield Hopcast, and it is our first Meet The Brewer feature. Adam and James here. It is a pretty cold Sunday morning, and we're in darkest, deepest Hillsborough. We're way past where the old Fletchers used to be, and we're at Lost Industry with Jimmy. Hello.
How do?
Now, first things first. Now, this is not kind of a normal kind of Sunday morning for you, is it? You're up to something a little bit special today.
Yeah, we're doing a three-way collab. So there's ourselves, Lost Industry, Steel City Brewing and Emperor's Brewery. We're brewing an Imperial Stout, hopefully, be around sort of 11%. We're then splitting it into several different beers. So we're hoping to get, I think, 6 different beers out of it. Yeah.
Wow, all right. So, I mean, most people are in bed nursing a hangover at this time on a Sunday, so I think that's very productive. Talk us through, because was it last month was kind of your 2-year sort of birthday, your 2-year anniversary? Just talk us through the kind of the history of Lost Industry and how it started, really.
We're basically all really into beer. I spent probably 10 years as a home brewer, so I just love beer, love brewing. And just felt we needed to sort of do it commercially, really.
Fair enough, that's a good reason. What kind of setup do you have here for anyone that's kind of into the beer and knows the kind of the breweries and the brewing processes and stuff like that? How does it all work for you?
We're 5.5 barrels, so around 1,000 litres. Our brew length. So we've got 2 fermenters, so that means we can basically do 2 brews a week, around 2,000 litres a week at a maximum at the minute.
So kind of a layman like me that just thinks in terms of bottles that I buy from the shop, how many bottles a week can you churn out?
If I was to put everything in bottles, which I wouldn't, it'd be 6,000. About 6,000, yeah.
That's quite a lot. Yeah. That's not bad. Now, one of the questions that we're going to be asking the different brewers that we visit as part of this feature is to kind of talk us through their core range of beers. But that's kind of a redundant question with you, because you don't really have a core range of beers, do you? You kind of, everything that you do is sort of like a one-off with the odd exception that you sort of revisit. What's kind of your thinking behind that? Why is that?
We like to experiment, really. We get bored easy, don't we? We've got
too many ideas as well.
Too many ideas and sort of. So yeah, we're just constantly thinking of things to do, and it's a matter of fitting it all in. So
So your kind of ideas come from literally like you've had a few beers, you sat in the pub, and you just come up with some like sort of mad ass idea, like that'll make a beer. Let's make that.
I mean, a lot of the time it's just you just come across something and you get inspiration from that, and
from everywhere, really.
Everywhere, yeah.
Now, I've always been a big fan of Lost Industry due to the fact that, I mean, you do make some kind of crazy ass beers, and I have particularly, during the summer, I was really into some of the sours that you were doing and things like that. Talk us through kind of your favourite beers that you've done.
Where would we start? I mean, obviously the sours, Mojito.
Peach Melba.
Peach Melba was a really good. What else is there?
Sour Sunday was.
Did you try that?
I did, yeah. I liked the Foraged sour as well. I thought that was really good.
I mean, Foraged, that's
seasonal release.
That's a seasonal release. So every season of the year, every year we do a different version of it, just with what we can find in hedgerows and.
And is that literally how it works?
Yeah. I mean, the autumn one, we had 45 kilos of wild berries that we'd picked.
So you go out and pick the stuff yourself. So I mean, it is a really genuine process.
Oh yeah. It's a labour of love.
Do you ever worry that you're kind of setting the bar so high for yourselves that you think, well, we've done this now, what the heck do we do next?
Yeah. It's a challenge to always come up with.
Yeah, well, I mean, we every beer we do isn't ridiculous, really.
Yeah,
so
I mean, we
tend to ground ourselves on the odd beer
ones.
Of course, you did the beer at the New Barrack Tavern for the 150th anniversary of Sheffield Wednesday, and that's a very kind of normal beer for you guys.
It is, yeah. It's sort of a sessionable beer, really.
Yeah, it's the sessionable
pale ale.
Traditional pale ale.
Yeah. We do it occasionally.
Now, obviously, we said you kind of set the bar at the point that you have done in 2017. So, thinking ahead to kind of like the year ahead, 2018, what ideas have you got? What can we expect from Lost Industry?
Well, we've got all our wine barrels now and our whiskey barrels. So, our barrel aging program's going to be starting pretty soon.
Okay.
So the second half of next year. It's going to be all about the barrels, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. And beer wise, any kind of hints, any kind of previews of what to expect?
It's going to be sort of a wild fermented cherry sour, really, aged in Bordeaux barrels.
That sounds nice.
Yeah, hopefully.
Could you put my name down for 3 of those, please?
Yeah. Absolutely.
And I mean, thinking about the beer industry as a whole, obviously this year, sours became quite a big thing, and kind of goses and saisons, that kind of thing. What sort of trends are you kind of expecting in the year ahead? Is there anything that you think it'll be, the return of the bitter or what? Anything that you're kind of expecting?
Sure.
I think more of the same, to be fair.
Yeah, I think sours are going to keep going for.
I think they're going to grow. Saisons have been building pretty steadily over the last few years.
I wouldn't be surprised if there's a lot more wild fermented sours on the market, mixed firm. Yeah,
absolutely. I think the West Coast IPA is going to make a big comeback as well. I hope so, anyway.
You reckon?
Yeah, I hope so.
I was thinking like something kind of unusual, but how do you come up with your names, really? Because there's the Iron Brew one you did. I can't remember what it was called. What was?
You even Iron Bro?
You even Iron Bro, yeah. And then you've done like the.
We're just trying to sidestep being sued.
And then you did the Parallel Parking as well, which is in collaboration with Sean and Beer Central, which is quite interesting. Like,
you're going to have to think about doing it again, I think.
Yeah. Is in terms of like your labels and things you do, which I'm kind of a designer at heart, but is there any way you have someone who does that particularly, or is it some you do?
That'll be me, yeah.
Where did you draw inspiration from? Is it just something that you
just everywhere, really? Yeah. Not the best answer, I guess.
No, it's fine.
Make it up as we go along, really, don't we?
Absolutely. It's it's some.
Keeps it interesting.
The beer often tells you what it wants to have as a label, really. Yeah.
So, where are we likely to find Lost Industry beers then, in terms of like on keg or cask or bottles? Where's the best place to go and find that?
Sheffield is always a good bet. Rutland Arms.
Beer Central for the bottles.
Beer Central for bottles.
Optimism.co.uk also.
Yeah. Hop Hideout. Old workshop, beer engine.
Plenty of different places. By the way, one thing that I wanted to ask, and there might be a very just logical, boring answer for this, but I find it quite interesting that some breweries only tend to bottle things, whereas some tend to use a combination of bottles and cans. Is there any reason why you guys only really use bottles?
No, I mean we do kegs and casks as well. So
Canning is something that we'll be looking at.
Yeah,
down the line for sure.
The stuff that you're working on today, when are we likely to kind of see this, either in a bar or in a shop?
You'll see it dribbling. Some of the versions aren't going to be barrel aged somehow, so you'll see them probably in the next month or so.
Yeah, within a month.
And maybe in 6 months' time there'll be more coming out. So it's going to be coming out gradually over a period. We're going to really go heavy on the barrels, which is really exciting. I mean, that's something that we've wanted to do for a while.
Got something like 14 barrels in the brewery. So,
do you think there's anything that sets you aside from other brewers, local brewers, or brewers in sort of neighbouring cities? And
I think the biggest difference is maybe the lack of a core range. I think there's a lot of breweries doing a lot of interesting stuff.
We've got quite a bit of freedom and manoeuvrability with what we do. So. Yeah.
We basically brew what we want, so that's quite a nice thing. If we come up with a stupid idea, we can just brew it.
Basically, no one to stop us.
If you were to sell it to the layman or a person on the street, you said, what do we expect from Lost Industry? I know it's difficult because you kind of do so much range, but what could sum that up in a few words?
Silliness, really.
Yeah.
Great description. Brilliant, guys. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to meet you today, and the best of luck for 2018. Look forward to trying some of the beers that you've got planned. Well, thank you to Jimmy and Nate, who were our first Meet the Brewer up at Lost Industry in Hillsborough. So while you've been listening to that, we've been trying 3 of their beers. So we've been trying, as we mentioned during the interview there, the Forager, which is their autumn edition. As they mentioned, they do it every quarter, and a great story in terms of the fact that they literally just go out and just find stuff and turn it into a beer, which is brilliant. There's also the chocolate milk stout with a hint of lime, which it has got a name on it, I can't actually read it properly. That's my bad. And the other one is the apple saison. So we've kind of had all 3 passing between us. 3 very different beers. Pommier? Yeah, Pommier. Pommier is the apple saison. I mean, I'm a big fan of Lost Industry, and I've had probably as many of their beers that I've tasted and thought, I don't particularly like that, to ones that I've tried and thought, that's brilliant. But what I love is the fact that they do stuff that's different. They really try and, they don't follow any rules. They try and push the boundaries, and they do stuff that just doesn't really make any sense. And sometimes it works, and sometimes it maybe doesn't work. But you've got to give them credit for kind of for trying it. And the Forager stuff, I'm a massive fan of, and they do sours really well.
Yeah, I think I think I had the Springs Foraged one, and I think I kind of mentioned it right at the end of the interview. It's the Iron Brew kind of influence one, which was on it. It was on the Sunfest, which is the Aberdeen thing, which is called Do You Even Iron Brew? Mm-hmm. And it was, I don't know if it had Iron Brew in it, but it kind of had it was a very intimate. And then one I really, really love, which is a bit face melting, which is the Acid Rain, which is a brilliant sound. As well as the ones they've done, which in collaboration with Devonshire Cat as well, and you guys did
the
Parallel Parking.
Yeah, that's it might have been because I was there.
This is mentioned on there.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. Is that going to come back? Parallel Parking?
No, we brew our collaborations as a one-off.
Oh, is that it?
And so our next collaboration will be out early February. Brewed that last week, North Riding at Scarborough.
Nice.
And that's using the fudge brownie stout that I referred to earlier. And we're adding raspberry and vanilla to that as well.
Okay, here we go. Talk about dessert.
It's called Fudge Brownie Ski Sunday Edition.
Nice.
SUNDAE.
Topical.
I'm going skiing at the end of January. We'll have some promo shops at the top of the French mountain.
And where will we be able to buy that?
All good beer shops in the Moor Market. They may take some actually. Shaky, I'm sure, will have it on Kellam Island Tavern. Buy from them as well.
Get down to the bottom of the Moor.
Early
just
February.
inside the door.
Just in time for the Winter Olympics, so there'll be a real ski element to it.
Just see Sean will sort you out.
I will. We've got 216 bottles coming, so please buy plenty.
We've got one more beer to try, and this one we've got to save this for last because it comes with a bit of a story, and it's actually going to be one of the more serious things that we talk about. That's Sean with his dramatic can opening noise there. So, Sean, tell us about this beer and tell us why this is quite topical, even though it's been out for, several months.
It's been out for a good few years. Yeah, it's Marble Brewery from Manchester. Pint is I believe their number one selling beer on cask, and is a 3.9% pale ale, and they've got into trouble largely down to one stupid bastard. Shall we go with a bastard as well? I'm guessing they're in Manchester. They did complain to Manchester Trading Standards, but perhaps that was because the brewery are based in Manchester, so they could have been from elsewhere. But Pint is packaged by Marble in 500ml tall boy cans, and of course 500ml isn't quite a pint in terms of measurement, and so Manchester Trading Standards received one isolated complaint from one idiot complaining that their pint didn't have a pint in it. And so Trading Standards have suggested to the brewery that they might want to consider renaming the beer, particularly when the beer has been packaged in the 500ml cans. So there's a debate at the moment for Marble and Trading Standards as to what they might call the beer when it's served on cask, in a pint. I suppose that's fair enough to call it a pint at that point. And so Marble have agreed to give them their dues and to avoid a long legal battle that would have been a draw on the brewery and perhaps might have hindered their progression this year. They've agreed, and so it will get a name change at some point. Hopefully a sarcastic one.
But you get it when he says get yourself a pint, but get it in a can. So it's kind of.
It's the most silly. It's like you talk about the collaboration that you've done. Does it contain any actual skis?
No, but
well, you're not allowed to call it.
But when I mentioned I was brewing it last week online. People did ask at what point in the brew the skis were going in there. So,
Sean, just to kind of confirm, it's like this is a beer that has existed for a long time as cask, and it's only just started being bottled canned in the last 6 months. So I've drunk that for a long time, and I've always considered it like just. It's like their kind of staple go-to pale ale, under 4%, hoppy, pale.
You would drink a pint of it, Adam, actually, on this one, wouldn't we? We would.
You're not allowed to have some.
I don't want to stop going to a bar and say I want a pint of pint.
Yeah.
Or 2 pints of pint. Last time this confused you was which is now a Great Yorkshire brewery, but Cropton Brewery had
2 pints.
Yeah. Have a pint of 2 pints. Before that, it's probably the buy one get one free thing, where you kind of go, can I have 2 pints of that? But I want 4 pints of it, not 2 buy one get one free. I want one, which is everyone's been for that before. I see it as a bit of a daft thing, and I spoke to you guys earlier, and it's only been a matter of weeks. It's been in the news again with Tiny Rebel, which is a Welsh brewery. They've got a beer. What's it called? It's
Quitch.
Quitch. It's spelled CWTCH. And that's again. I think it's one person said that looks like it's marketed towards children. It's like, well, if you've got a kid in your supermarket's down there, they're not going to get past the tills, are they? And they're not going to be able to reach that beer. Why are they even in a beer aisle? And I think they've had to basically. I think in total they said it's going to cost about £30,000 as a brewery, and that's a combination of legal fees, reprinting, rebranding, design work, rebranding, reprinting. I don't know if I think they're okay for a while, but potentially taking things off the market in April when they've got the deadline.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether there's any domino effect onto their other beers as well. So they use the same character.
Changing the character.
You have a look at it, but I don't think it's changed much.
I mean, it's interesting. On Christmas Eve, we had a young family come into the shop.
Was it me?
No, it wasn't. No, but mum and dad came in with daughter. Daughter was maybe 2 or 3, and daughter was selecting a beer for Santa. And out of 400 plus beers in the shop, she went for Club Tropicana. Yeah,
well,
we've had the same character on there, so of course I wouldn't have served her.
So that's the end of the story, isn't it?
Yeah, but there is I suppose at some point someone has responsibility in terms of influence. Yeah. On children, it's safeguarding children.
Basically, just to confirm, it's a very colourful, psychedelic looking can. Yeah. It's yellows, blues, reds. It's very kind of stroke and it's got their kind of emblem is like a bear. Yeah. I think the bear's quite weird. It looks a bit dead.
It's cute. It's a bit scary.
It's a bit scary. Yeah.
It's not far off Pudsey Bear.
So essentially, they've just had to move that.
It's had a rougher time.
It has.
So essentially, they've had to move that from the front of the can to the back of the can. Which is a round can which anybody could face whichever direction they wanted on the shelf. So again, it's a bit of a farce thing.
It is silly, but the designs on these cans are so appealing. We were going across to Indyman a couple of years ago in Manchester, and we had a can of Beavertown Gamma Ray, beautiful can, spacemen and guns. And a lady leaned over asking on behalf of her young son what pot that was. So there is that little influence.
Do you think maybe in a few years' time where it's all kind of normalised, it might be just?
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind it at all, of course, but I'm just quoting these little anecdotal stories.
I think you do because it's one of those things where creative people forget that they're not putting stuff out for their mates. Whenever you're putting something like this out, it does go to a wider audience.
Perhaps beyond where they're originally thinking.
Yeah, because whenever they're drawing up designs for cans and things like that, they're going and they're showing it around their mates and things like that, and their mates are all going, "Oh, that's brilliant, looks great." But whenever you put it in a shop shelf, that's completely different. Yeah. And I agree that it's farcical that they're having to change, but I think we probably need to perhaps, yes please, maybe just be a little more careful about how they do market their things. I mean the marshmallow man one, for instance, I can see that being attractive, but it looks a bit like
is it from
Ghostbusters? Yeah. So, I get where some people are coming from in terms of the influence. However, it's a case of common sense being forgotten about
correct.
How exposed are children to these cans? Because I accept that it's becoming a little bit more widespread in supermarkets.
Any children walking past your recycling bin are going to be heavily influenced.
That's why I keep it in the back garden. It's not accessible to children. It just seems all a little bit silly, I imagine there are probably the stuff that we're talking about now, particularly the pint / 500ml thing. There are probably other countries throughout Europe that would find this absolutely hilarious.
I'm surprised the European Union's not been blamed for it, actually. It sounds like something they would have been blamed for a few years ago.
I just can't imagine what kind of person has the time to be annoyed and compose a letter.
My brother's very much like this. It's probably my brother that goes late.
We talk about being pedantic, but a friend of mine went to Vegas and he was talking about, he was like, "Oh yeah, you get pints there, but they're small." Like, pint's a pint, it's not smaller. And I looked it up and went, "Oh, actually, the American pint is smaller." An American pint is actually 16 ounce, which is 473 millilitres. So just throw it back at them and go, "Hey, well, they're actually getting nearly 27 millilitres more than the...
Is that
transatlantic pint
is that
and kind of go
taking
for a
you
happy
on the
medium.
nerdy fact? He's trying to take you on for the nerdy fact of the night, isn't it, Laura?
I can bring cats up.
No.
Do we have an idea of what do we think we should call it?
Half litre.
It's a good question, yeah. Half litre.
I think they just start using pint cans.
If they were to call it half litre, could they just call it half?
What would they call it? If it's half litre, what would they call it on cask?
Beer. Let's call it beer.
What would they call it on cask? It should have one name
That's
across
because I could be
all
wrong here, but
dispense.
I don't think 500 millilitres is an accepted UK legal measure for
No, it's
drink
not.
from served from a bar.
It's not, no.
So, all different kind of words there.
Yeah, it is.
What's it actually Brewdog? Did Brewdog fight for the schooner actually? Like, is it too weird?
So, yeah.
Yeah, that one.
Perhaps we could just call it liquid, would that be alright?
Booze.
Booze.
I think I'd call it nearly a pint. I hope you're happy, you dick.
What's that one again? Let's get that one out. Nearly a pint.
Can I just say about this beer quickly as well? Like, we've had this beer last, which is looking at the lineup, possibly a controversial decision. However,
it's a shambles from the
but it's
organisers.
still,
Sorry, my bad.
It's really good, isn't it?
It's still more than standing up after
Yeah,
all
it
those
is.
flavours that we've tried.
It's 3.9. It's
absolutely
really
delicious.
hoppy and it's really good. Yeah. Forget the bollocks about the thing. It's if you want a solid, sessionable can or cask beer.
I sort of feel
look for pint.
I know you're getting a bit of stick here for getting this round the wrong way, James, but
This was always my plan. I wanted to prove to you that you can have a 3.9% beer.
we've gone big and we're reining ourselves in a little bit now.
Yeah.
And this is what we're going.
We'll sleep easy.
But yeah, we're
not quite ready to stop, but we think we should probably.
But like Laura
calm down
says,
a bit.
that doesn't taste like nothing. Which
there is a danger of.
Me and Sean were talking in the shop the other day, saying like, how do you do things over Christmas? Have you got different types of beers? Do you go like weak to strong? Do you go dark to light? Do you go like, do you have your sours first? Do you have them to finish? Do you have them in the middle to break up a pale to a dark? And you're like, well, that's a
It was
that's
a lot more
podcast in
interesting
itself.
than that.
But you would never just go, well, I go really strong to weak.
Never.
That's kind of what we've done, really.
Yeah, we have.
And that does stand up.
I
That is
might
a
end
cracking
every
bit.
night on a pint of pint.
We have a
Or whatever it's going to be called. Yeah.
See, what you're actually saying is that
Other names
I am
are
a genius. This is what we're saying.
After the podcast, I've got a cat-related Tiny Rebel story for you. It's beer related. If you want.
Excellent. Yes, please.
We'll leave that for another day.
Thank God.
You're not selling it.
I love it. I love it.
I think that just about brings us to the conclusion of episode 1 of the Sheffield Hopcast. Obviously, it has been our pilot episode. It's probably been a little bit longer than it will be in kind of future months, but it's been kind of a chance for us to all get to know each other and find out a bit about kind of our beer habits and whatnot. And I hope it gives you an idea about what the Hopcast will be about and how we're going to develop it as time goes by. I think we've had a really promising reaction from breweries and pubs all over Sheffield, and we're pretty confident that this can become a bit of a thing. As ever, your support and feedback is really invaluable, so let us know what you think. You can find us on Twitter @ChefHopcast. Search for us on Facebook. You can drop us an email as well if you want to beer@sheffieldhopcast.co.uk, and you can get all those details on our website, which is sheffieldhopcast.co.uk. If you have enjoyed the show, please rate and review us on iTunes, and if you subscribe as well, then it means that you get the future Hopcasts straight to your device before everyone else. Sean, you are on Twitter @BeerCentralLTD. What are your beer plans for the month ahead?
For the month ahead, the shop got totally wrecked over Christmas in terms of selling out on lots of things, so we will build up from this week onwards. Got some still water stuff coming over in cans, cold freight from the USA next week, and then latter part of the month we'll see much more promotion on our collaboration Ski Sunday Fudge Brownie. And so they're going to be two big pieces of the month for us, certainly.
Okay. Chris, you are on Twitter @HulkChris. What are your beer plans for the month ahead?
I haven't really got plans. I'll probably drink more
That is a great beer. We'll have that.
I'll have some beer at some point. I'll probably
Drink more, but have it in halves.
That's what I'll do.
Right,
I'll spread it out. My plan this year, I didn't make a resolution as such, but I did think I should just have a bit more difference to the sorts of things that I might leave a sixer behind for a little while.
It sounds like your resolution is drink more beer, which is a brilliant resolution. Well, everyone else goes the opposite.
Please drink responsibly, people. But I will drink a more varied range. I'll put it that way.
Okay. Laura, you're on Twitter. In fact, you kind of have two Twitters.
Yeah, the main beer one is at Mash Tun and Meow. Beer and cats.
We'll go with that one. What are your beer plans for the month ahead? Because January is, we touched on earlier, it's obviously a kind of a big month with the Triannuary thing involved in.
Yeah, I think it's the third year of the Triannuary campaign this year, but for this year it's been taken over by a wonderful man called Tom, who is he leads Craft Beer Hour on Twitter as well, which is on Tuesday evenings. He's spearheading the campaign, which is essentially just all about getting into your local pub, supporting your local industry, trying something new, and drinking quality rather than quantity. And he's recruited a team of, I think there's over 100 of us actually all around the country, sort of local ambassadors. Myself and Jim, who runs Mash Tun and Meow with me, are 2 of 5 Sheffield champions. So yeah, we're just shouting about what we're drinking in Sheffield and helping to promote it really, and it's my birthday towards the end of the month as well, so planning on a day trip out to Buxton to go to Buxton Tap and try the new Red Willow bar out there as well. Yeah.
Brill. Rich, you're on Twitter at Dickie Owl.
That's me. Yeah.
What are your kind of beer plans for the month ahead?
Well, I have a birthday in the end of January as well, so I'll be having an evening in the New Barrack Tavern.
Good Buxton Tap.
Funnily enough. No. New Barrack Tavern is the low for my birthday. We always end up in there and until we get kicked out basically. So that's my only beer plan as such, apart from what's all this dry January about? What's that about? You know, just carry on. No, I'm moving away from that. I'm a drinker, so yeah.
Adam, you're on Twitter at On The Bar Chef.
Double F.
What have you got planned for the month ahead?
Going to that place which I can't pronounce again. So can't remember what it's called.
Oh yeah.
Looks like Rocklaw. Pronounced
Rocheclaw. I love the fact you're going to come back and it's actually going to be a completely different pronunciation.
Of course it is, yeah. That's all. I can put the spelling on Twitter if you want to have a go at it. But yeah, that's funny.
Bringing us all a bit back?
Probably not, because Ryanair.
Hand luggage over.
Yeah. Last time we tried bringing Steins back from Berlin, someone nearly ended up in hospital because he went into his bag and busted his arm on one broken one.
Brill. I'm on Twitter at James Marriott. My plans for the month ahead, obviously Triannuary. Next Thursday, gonna head out and try a few new beers. We sort of touched on this earlier. I am going to the Sheffield Derby on Friday. I will be having beers at home before the game, which will be bought from Sean rather than braving any pubs. And then end of the month, I'm having a weekend in Leeds, which I've got to be honest, it's a place that I've never really explored the beer scene, which is silly really because it is a great beer scene up there. I just have a bit of a Leeds thing, but yeah, I'm heading up there, so yeah, I'm going to try a few beers there. But guys, thank you very much for your time. I hope you've enjoyed episode 1 of the Sheffield Hopcast, and fingers crossed we'll be back in February.